I tell people all the time, it's harder being on our team than it is not being on our team.
You're going to bring the how.
Yes.
They got to bring the will.
In our personal market where I'm at, sales have been dropping 10 to 15% year over year since 2022. We increased our production in 2024 by 47%.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Level Up Podcast with myself, Greg Harrelson. This is where I focus on taking you from agent to entrepreneur. As you know, I have a passion for developing agents. And on today's episode, I'm going to share another quick strategy on how you can increase your production. I'm going to be real, so you be ready. Let's level up.
Hey everybody, it's Greg Harrelson here with another episode of the Level Up Podcast, where I get to kind of have fun and have conversations with friends, people that I learn from, maybe sometimes even people that I'm sharing information and teaching. But I've got a special guest today that I would call a friend. His name is Anthwon Thomas out of Lafayette, Indiana, and he says it's in Purdue land. So for those that don't know Lafayette, which I'm guilty of, it's over there near Purdue University. He's got a group, a team, called the Silver Lining Real Estate Group, and he's affiliated kind of like Powered by Real. So that's his affiliation. So, hey, Anthwon, I really appreciate you accepting the invitation to talk with me. As I said a moment ago, I'm really excited about the conversation just to hear more about your journey, because I happened to meet you in Oklahoma many, many years ago. And I don't know exactly, I can't remember where you are in the journey. So I'm going to ask you to revisit that. But I think you were far from where you are right now. So I'm interested in hearing your story. So, hey, thanks for being here, bud.
Greg, as always, it's an honor. I'm excited to collaborate with you and share with the community.
Well, good, man. Good. So let's jump right into it. So we were at a Jeff Cohn event in Oklahoma, and I was there with someone else. Was I there with Kevin Mills?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Kevin and I just went out there. I was talking at Jeff's event, and I don't know how we ended up in some little corner talking with you. And it seemed like there might have been one or two more people from your team at that time. I know one guy for sure. Yep. And I think we bonded over the argument about LeBron and Kobe and Michael Jordan. As a matter of fact, for those of you listening right now, we almost we did go way too far on a Kobe, Michael Jordan, LeBron argument before we even hit the record button.
Yep.
I had to reset myself because I felt I started arguing again. And that's what happens between he and I. We get through the NBA LeBron stuff, and then we finally get to business. So now we're back to business.
Yep.
So when I met you back then, man, take me back then. What were you up to? What were you doing? I'm going to talk about, where you are now. And then I want to really myself, as well as I want to give the audience some clues and some ideas and some learning opportunities on what it takes to go from where you were to where you are now. And not only your successes, but even talk about some of your failures. So where were you back then?
So great question. I think that was 2018 maybe, I think, when that event was, or 2019. I want to say it was 2018. So
I think so. I think it was a few more years before the pandemic.
Yes. Well, I got into real estate in 2015. And when I got into real estate, there was a thing called YouTube, thank God. So I was able to learn from great people. And after you go down a rabbit hole, because I'm very obsessive about learning and trying to figure out things, I ran across a fella named Greg Harrelson on, I want to say it was Real Geeks. I want to say it was one of their podcasts, and Greg was featured pretty often with certain companies, and they would interview him. Hey, Greg, how are you finding success in today's market and coaching agents? So Greg didn't know this, but he was my personal coach. He didn't know it because I would just consume all his YouTube content. So when I heard about Jeff Cohn having that event in 2018, I knew Greg was going to be there because they talked about it on a podcast episode. It may have been Jeff's podcast. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to definitely go. So at that time, it was myself. We had a transaction coordinator And then we had, I think one other agent, maybe two other agents on the team, and they were mainly buyer's agents. At that time, I was focusing on listings because, again, I was obsessed with mastering the real estate conversation. I was obsessed with building a listing business. So hired a couple buyer's agents, and then that was when I met Greg at that event. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
awesome.
So it was you, a coordinator. I think I remember that.
Yep.
And then maybe, like you said, one or two agents. Okay. So let's call that 2018 for the sake of not having the greatest memory on the date. But so that was roughly 7 years ago. Okay.
Yes.
So back then, did you have your own little company? Because your company's name is Silver Lining Real Estate Group. Was it Silver Lining back then?
Yep. Yep. It was
Was?
Silver Lining
Okay.
back then. And we were partnered with a different brokerage at the time. But
Okay.
Silver Lining, that would have been 2 years of Silver Lining being established
Okay.
at that point. Yep.
Good. So you went right in pretty early in your career and went right after your own little brokerage, your little, brokerage team. We call it what we want to, but you kind of went independent, really, pretty quickly.
Yeah. I was kind of forced to. Now,
Okay.
back then, when I got into real estate, I was excited about the career opportunity. This was the first thing that I felt like I could put my all into, right? Like when I was going to university, was essentially going to university to be a lawyer. Found out no way, that's not for me,
Yeah.
and dropped out of school. Was trying to figure out what the hell am I going to do with my life, and came across a couple books that kind of led me into real estate. So I was excited, and my heart was in the right place to take care of people. That led me to helping 31 families in my first year,
Yeah.
but that also led me to not seeing my family as well. So I was making more money. I was feel like I was doing good in business, but I wasn't seeing my family as much. My second year, I ended up helping 42 families. The same mode of not seeing my family. So I was challenged
Mm.
by a good friend of mine who um, has built up to this point a great business. He said, "You are a hustler, Antoine. You've proven it. You got what it takes. It's time for you to find leverage. You got to hire somebody to help you." So I was like, well, the scariest thing that I could possibly do is to hire somebody and now them be dependent on me going out there and bringing home the money so they could feed their family. So after I saved up a little more money, I made that hire. So then at that point, maybe a couple months before the first hire was when I started Silver Lining Real Estate Group. And I remember people would ask, "Hey, I saw you got a team. Like, who's all on the team, man? Who's all in the company?" Well, you looking at them. It's just me right now. Um, but once I established the name and we got the team, then I made the first hire. She's still with us today, Amanda. Still with us today, and she's now our director of operations. So she's leveled up. She's a badass. But yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4 of us back in 2018 when we brought on, like, we started having the mindset of growing, but we built it because I was forced to.
Mm.
Like I knew I wanted to grow something big. I was inspired by you, like you got these great organizations and you're making an impact on people's lives. Like I knew I wanted to do that. I wasn't sure how, and I wasn't sure when I was going to pull the trigger on bringing people in the organization, but I was forced to make it happen sooner than later.
Yeah. So let's fast forward. Okay. Now we're 2025. Tell us where you are now.
So we're, as of today, 20 people in the organization. So we're still fairly small compared to some of our big teams out there. But we have, let's see, 2 TCs. We have a market assistant, director of operations, which is Amanda. We're hiring, and this is something we can definitely unpack because last conversation we had online like this, I was against ISAs.
Ah.
I'm here to say we're hiring 2 as we
Yeah.
speak. And I'm gonna explain why. I can explain why later. But 2 ISAs, and we have 13 agents. And then I hope I'm not forgetting somebody. But roughly, because we're onboarding monthly, so sometimes it could be 25, sometimes it could be 22.
Yeah.
But I think we're roughly 20 right now in the organization.
That's fantastic. How would selective are you? Um, because when I hear somebody say, "Well, we could be bigger," then sometimes that's intentional, right? Like, um, uh, you know, quantity versus quality. So, you have any thoughts on that?
100%. So, I'm based on my growth and the mistakes I made over the years, I've learned that better is better. Not bigger isn't always better.
Yeah.
Better is better. But through my journey over the past, let's say 5 years, when I've really became aggressive of growing our company, I've gained more context as to what our standards should be and what they are now, what is a growth opportunity for our individual in our company to keep them in and let's continue to pour in them. But also, I've learned the threshold of no, you're not a fit. So I've kind of learned the nuances in that. And so we do put people through a 3-step interview process. We do have standards. There are things that we look for. Just because you're breathing and you have a license don't mean you can be on our team. I tell people all the time, on our team, it's harder being on our team than it is not being on our team.
Mm,
Do business easier on our team, but our standards are so high, it's hard being on our team. I tell people because I'm on a health journey right now, and we're kind of like that health plan to get in shape, right? Like it's we're gonna give you the coach, we're gonna give you the health plan, the meal plan, when to eat, what to eat. We're gonna give you the gym membership. We're gonna give you the workout plan. We're gonna be right there to hold you accountable every single day. Okay. Making the decision to wake up when you're supposed to go to the gym, to be held accountable, to sweat, right? So your muscles burn, to then eat the right stuff. It's hard.
yeah, I got
It's easier for you to say, no, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do my own thing. That's what we are. We are it's good for you, but it's hard.
you. Yeah.
So we do have standards and not everyone is a fit and we're okay with that.
Yeah. It reminds me of something that I say around my offices and around the coaching that I do. And that is, what I just interpreted is you're going to bring the how. Somebody can join your team and you don't have to worry about how. You're going to bring the how.
Yes.
They got to bring the will.
Mm. Period.
You're going to bring the how, but that bringing the will. Ooh.
Yeah.
This gets back into the hard conversation, right? It's like
Yes.
there's nothing in the how that's difficult, but everything in the will a lot of times can be difficult. So treating that. So during this journey, okay, from going from you to 2 or 3 to 20 to 25, depending on what stage, what quarter of the year it is. What are some of the things that you did right to get to where you are now?
Great question. Some of the things. Number one, the first thing that I did right was being vulnerable and understanding I don't have the answers. And I also don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I surrendered and got coaching in my life. Okay. Now, there's multiple coaches that you can have when you're talking about building your desired life. You can have a health coach, you can have a business coach, you can have a finance coach, uh, uh, you can have so many different coaches. I started with first having a coach that would help me be a great example for my agents being an agent, by being an agent.
Hmm. Yeah.
I need to know how to do a listing presentation, and I take pride in the office of never being stumped, being able to do stump the chump, which I learned from Greg, and being able to hold my own and do my thing. But I needed to learn that. I needed to learn how to meet with a buyer at a showing and get a buyer agency agreement and handle the objections or the questions. I needed to be able to show up at my workstation, ready to make phone calls, and they hear me on the phone, and I can model what it is they need to do. So the coach was actually Greg. So I'm a part of Greg's, was it Agent Success Academy?
Yeah. Agent Success Academy. Yeah.
ASA. ASA, my son's name is Asa.
Oh,
So
yeah.
ASA, I always think, yeah.
Yeah.
But ASA. So I'm constantly learning from Greg on a weekly basis, right? Because I have to be sharp as an agent, because I'm an agent at heart. So that's number one. I opened up to coaching. Then I hired another coach. So like Chet Black, and
Yeah.
and he is an incredible coach like Greg on leadership. So I brought him into my world. He's been a huge help. So number one is just vulnerability and being open to learning more and being held accountable to growth. That was number one. Number two, maybe letting go. I would say letting go. Like, I don't have to control everything. In order for the organization to grow and to become what it is today and what it's going to become 5, 10 years from now, I need to allow the people that I trust next to me to fail forward so then they could gain context and become better, right? And I needed to, at the same time, while they're growing, the reason why it's important, why I said number one is vulnerability. If I'm not growing, I'm the cap on the organization. If I'm not growing, then nobody else is going to be able to grow, or they can outgrow me. And then at that point, they probably leave the organization, right? So allowing others around me to grow, having abundance, putting them in rooms like Greg's, like John's, like, all these other high level people, and allowing them to understand what is possible and grow. And then if I were to say one more thing, I got a good one. So we run a team and we have standards. I had to learn to connect with people, like connect with them deeply, people on our team, right? But I also had to learn to not be attached to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The time that they're in my world and I'm in their world, not everyone's going to stay. Some people may. Regardless, the time that they are on this team, did they grow? Did they learn? Was I a positive impact? Was the team, the culture, a positive impact in their life? Did we help them grow? So I think being able to connect but detach from people and not get butthurt if we were to part ways.
Yeah.
But help them gracefully be able to go on with their career, and then just cherishing the moments of the people that are here and helping them grow, pouring into them.
Yeah. Those are incredible, man. By the way, you're very well spoken. I think I forgot that you were thinking about being an attorney. So were you a fairly educated guy? I mean, you just probably study a lot and
Yes.
you're very well spoken. I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
that because you definitely can speak very well. And I think that you could speak more, meaning I think you could have even a bigger impact, as you move along in the journey. I know that's a little sidetracked, but I just thought about that and I wrote it down.
Thank you.
Well, great, man. Be vulnerable. It's interesting that you said vulnerable. And then right after you said that, as part of the vulnerable point, you talked about being an example.
Mhm.
And, I think that's something interesting, right? It's like, because when you're stepping up to being an example, you are vulnerable
Yeah.
because because everyone's hearing you talk the talk.
Mhm.
Now let's see if you can walk the walk. And even though you could be surrounded with really good, loving people, even them sometimes are looking for you to trip up.
Mhm.
And so I just thought that it just kind of resonated with me. It's like, wow, you connected being vulnerable with being an example. And I was like, yeah, I never thought of that, but I think I can feel that, like playing a stump the chump game. I mean,
Yeah.
you might get stumped, right? And then all of a sudden, do you lose credibility in their eyes? That's
Yep.
vulnerability, And so what a lot of leaders will do is like, I'm not going to go there because it's too risky.
Yeah.
Interesting. So Those are three things that you did, that you think that come to your mind about doing something right, some good decisions.
Mhm.
Where'd you screw it up? Where do you look back and you're like, I messed that one up? And I know that you and I are both of the state of mind that like there is really no screw ups, right? There's things that we did that didn't go the way that we thought they were going to go, and we learned hard lessons, but those
Mhm.
hard lessons were necessary. Can you just share a few of those times?
Absolutely. um, well, number one, and this isn't like it's the first thing that popped in mind was just thinking small,
Mm,
thinking too small because just when I was talking to Greg in 2018, when I met Greg for the first time, my mindset was, you know what, I'm gonna grow this thing out to 10 agents. 10 agents. Like I think I hear the number 10 and I'm like, oh God, what? Like that's no 100,
yeah.
300, 500, you know? And so I was just thinking small. And Greg, you told me this before. You were like, Antoine, actually, I think you grew too slow. I think you could have grown faster at the pace that, like, where you're at is where you should be. But
Mm,
like, you could have grown this a lot faster. So I think I started out just thinking a little too small. But where did that come from? That came from me feeling like I couldn't do it.
mm.
Like, oh, maybe I'm not Greg. I'm not this person. What do they call it? Imposter syndrome or something like that?
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
Maybe you feel inadequate. Or
yeah,
that's not me. That's them.
yeah. I think it was that. It was like, man, or how about this one? I know you heard this one before. Well, my market is different.
Oh gosh. Yeah. All the time I hear it.
My market is different. Yeah, agents, they think different here. They I don't blah blah blah. They don't, people don't want to prospect and blah 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 blah. And we're a prospecting team, so I'm not gonna even try to like, and I think that was a big thing. What else I messed up was I stopped looking for great talent to join the team. So I was one of those people. We had our best year up until last year and this year. Um, we in 2020, we had a record breaking year during COVID year,
Mhm.
record breaking. Uh, actually 2021 and 2022, we went backwards
Mhm.
where most people actually 2021, 2022, they had better years than 2020. We went backwards and I stopped looking for talent. I stopped looking to add people to the team. I was in my last year of being in production, like selling on a consistent basis was 2020. I stepped out in 2020, and that's another thing too. That's another mistake. I stepped out too soon. I stepped out way too soon. And it hurt financially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my team everything was set up for us to go another year or two of me still being in production until we hit a certain mark, and I was able to have enough agents that could replace my production and more. Um, but I stepped out way too soon. So it wasn't recruiting.
Wow.
That's the word that a lot of people don't like, but I'm a recruiter,
Mhm.
right? I wasn't recruiting, and then I just stepped out of production way too soon. So, Greg, I can't tell you the amount of pain that I experienced in my personal life and business in 2022 and 2023, the two hardest years of my life.
Mm.
And it wasn't because, like, my family life was great, but there was things that were happening in the business financially to where it was getting spooky. Like I was like, I don't know. I'm good. I'm getting back in production because I need to now. I need to just keep the lights on, right? And then next it was, I I don't know if this recruiting stuff or growing the organization is the right move because we're bringing in people that just aren't fits.
Mm.
They're not wanting to. So I think that was being unclear as to who we are, what are our standards, and where are we going to draw the line, and then not being responsible financially and understanding like you're stepping out of production too soon and you're spending very fast. So looking back, like those are whew, like nights I didn't sleep. Like
Yeah.
I was coming up and I show up in the office, man, and I wasn't myself. Wasn't myself. So
Well, I hate that you went through it, but I'm so happy that you did. You know what I mean? Because, I think we know that, breakdowns is the access to breakthroughs. So speaking about that, right? So thank you, by the way, for continuing to be vulnerable and sharing that. A lot of people wouldn't be willing to share that type of stuff. I actually didn't know that. And so
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to know that now. Okay. So now we're 2025. Where where are you heading? Like where's Antoine? Where are you taking this thing?
Yes.
Where are you
So
taking this at? And then the follow-up question to that is going to be, okay, what do you need to do next? Like what's the next thing you need to learn or you need to implement to take it to where you'll tell us that you want to take it? Where are you going? What do you got to do?
for sure. So I mentioned 2022, 2023, two very tough years. I'm proud to say though, we obviously we're here today. And I learned a lot and I grew and I needed that, like Greg said. But 2024 compared to 2023, and this is in our personal market where I'm at, sales have been dropping 10 to 15% year over year since 2022. We increased our production in 2024 by 47% compared to 2023. And then this year, we're on pace to do the same. We're roughly 28 to 30%. And our market has dropped 7% so far year to date compared to last year. So I mean, we came through and we're building, and where we're headed is we open up a mortgage branch.
Oh yeah, you did that with Mike Benton, right? And
Yes, sir.
yeah, the what's it called, response mortgage, is that right?
Responsive mortgage.
Yeah, responsive mortgage. Yeah, I see there's a lot of momentum behind that. Congratulations.
What a blessing. What a blessing. And it's not number one for our clients. That's why we did it. We want to have more control over the client experience. But number two, just to be in those groups and building with special people like that, like it's incredible. Like just Mike Benton, like shout out to Mike. What a great guy.
Yeah.
What a
He's from Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Myrtle Beach has got a few stars, right?
Killers, man. Like
That's been, you got Mike Benton. I just happen to be here with him too. I'm not claiming to be a star, but there's a few people in Myrtle. Well, something in the Myrtle Beach water, produces some pretty good real estate focused individuals.
for sure. 100%. And so we open up responsive, happy to be in a partnership with them. And it does help with the growth of our company here at Silver Lining. It really does. So I'm not going to just, I'll be transparent. Like responsive has been a huge blessing. I've heard of stories of people starting a mortgage branch and it not going well.
Yeah.
It's been great. And so that has been helpful, where the goal this year, or the commitment, I should say, is to get the 20. We have 20 people in our organization completely, only 13 agents. The goal is to get to 25 agents minimum by the end of the year. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With the right people though, not just anyone, with the right people. And then opening up more ancillary businesses like property management. I have people on our team that they believe they're advocates of this company. They believe it's theirs. They're all in. They've been 5-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're flipping properties. Now they're buying investment properties. And so we want to, have an investment partnership for the company to where people can invest into and partner on flips and buy and holds and apartment buildings. So we're working on that as well. And just continuing to just grow this thing. I mean, keep it as simple. Like we want to be by 2028, we want to be over 1,000 units a year.
Mm-hmm.
We want to expand into different markets. But first we got to make sure Lafayette, we got that dialed in. I think we're right around 7 or 8% market share right now in our market. I would love to get to 15 plus before we start looking to, other areas. But I mean, it's just constant growth, and then having other businesses on the side that I can partner with people on the team with. Growing up other leaders within the organization. I'm going to be looking for a sales manager here soon. That I would love to bring somebody up already in the organization into that. So yeah, just full steam ahead and just staying on the path.
That's fantastic, man. And having fun while you're doing it, right?
Having fun. Yep.
Well, listen, man, I tell you, I really appreciate, I love the story. I appreciate the journey that you've been on. I know that, we kind of hang out in some of the same circles, right?
Yep.
I pop in and out of Cheplek events. I think a lot about John and whatnot. And I know you do also. And I see you involved. That's probably what got you in that health kick also. I don't know if it did, but you hang around them too much and you're going to be in the gym. Doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Well, good, man. I tell you what, I really do appreciate you, sharing your journey. And I look forward to a couple years from now, especially in 2028, doing this again and talking about, what happened between 25 and 28 that helped you get to 1,000 units. Because if anyone's capable of doing it, I know you're capable of doing it, and you have surrounded yourself with an amazing, group of individuals and the people that you affiliate with. So there's plenty of examples for you to follow, and there's plenty of people that are looking at you as an example to follow. So I just hope you know that. Again, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, either join your team, maybe somebody is going to listen and they're from Lafayette, who knows, but, or maybe just need to send a referral somewhere near that Purdue University. How do people reach out to you? What's the best way?
You can find me on all socials, Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Heck, I'm even on TikTok. I don't really post on TikTok, but there's Anthwon Thomas, Anthwon Thomas. Also, we have High Value Agent, which is my platform. It's not like a coaching thing, but it's more just something that I can do to help with just giving information, things that I've learned, and I'm just sharing that. So I'm posting that on Facebook and I think YouTube as well and all that stuff. But send me a DM on any social media platform. It's me. So I will definitely get back to you. So.
Well, cool, man. Well, Anthwon, I really, again, appreciate it. And you know that I'm always here if I can ever do anything for you. I'm a fan of yours. I keep watching. Every time I see your name, I just wonder, okay, what's he doing now? And we'll continue the LeBron conversation. Man, I tell you what, if he stays in the league one more year, it's not going to be good. But anyways, we'll leave it like that. I think you're starting to come around, just so the audience knows. I think in another year, he's going to say Michael Jordan's the GOAT. Kobe's the best ever, and LeBron is the best 40 plus. So for senior basketball, he does well. All right. For those of you that are LeBron, fans, don't get mad at me. This is just between me and Anthwon. Anthwon, I sure do appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, come back, tune into other episodes. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.